Unveiling neo-colonial arrogance, the West's disrespectful dance with African leaders. In the intricate tapestry of global power dynamics, the relationship between the West and Africa has long been marred by a history of exploitation, manipulation, and disrespect. As the dust of colonialism settled, a new form of domination emerged, one that lurks beneath the veneer of cooperation and aid. Investigating this insidious dynamic reveals a narrative of arrogance, disrespect, and a stark power imbalance. The halls of diplomacy often witness the clash of cultures and interests, but rarely is the condescension of the West towards African leaders so palpable as it is today. In these high-stakes meetings, African leaders find themselves confronted with a patronizing attitude that belies the supposed spirit of partnership. The West, accustomed to its historical role as the arbiter of progress and development, often approaches these engagements with a sense of entitlement, forgetting that Africa is not a supplicant but a partner with agency and sovereignty. A deeper historical examination underscores the fallacy of the West's presumption of superiority. Throughout the colonial era, European powers plundered Africa's resources, exploiting its people and land for their own enrichment. The legacy of this exploitation continues to reverberate as Africa grapples with the socio-economic ramifications of centuries of subjugation. It is a bitter irony that the very nations whose prosperity was built upon Africa's suffering now deign to dictate terms to its leaders. The assertion that the West needs Africa more than Africa needs the West is not mere rhetoric, it is a stark reality rooted in economic and geopolitical dynamics. Africa is home to a wealth of natural resources essential to the functioning of the global economy. Without African minerals, crops, and labor, the West would indeed find itself in dire straits. Yet, this reality is often conveniently overlooked in favor of a narrative that portrays Africa as a charity case in need of Western benevolence. Critics like Meloni are quick to point out the hypocrisy of Western leaders who claim to champion democracy and human rights while cozying up to autocrats and kleptocrats in Africa. The selective outrage of the West reveals its true motivations, maintaining a stranglehold on Africa's resources and quashing any dissent that threatens its interests. Meloni's warning against turning into a Macron, beholden to the interests of the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, strikes at the heart of this insidious alliance between Western powers and global elites. The rise of alternative power centers, such as the BRICS nations, poses a threat to the hegemony of the West and its allies. Leaders like Erdogan and Putin, emboldened by their defiance of Western dominance, present a challenge to the established order. The IMF, World Bank, and other international organizations, purportedly tasked with promoting development and stability, often serve as enforcers of Western interests, further entrenching the neo-colonial status quo. In conclusion, the West's disrespectful treatment of African leaders is not merely a diplomatic faux pas, it is a symptom of a deeper malaise rooted in centuries of exploitation and oppression. African nations must assert their sovereignty and demand equal treatment on the world stage. The wake-up call has been sounded, and it is high time for the West to recognize that Africa will no longer tolerate being treated as a subordinate. The era of neo-colonial arrogance must come to an end if true partnership and cooperation are to flourish on the global stage.